with Clinch, chatting all things MMA. Hey, and welcome to the Clinch, where we're going to talk about MMA in South Africa and the rest of the world. Coming off the back of the International Fight Week from the States, we've got our own International Fight Week here in South Africa coming up. We've got EFC 51 on Friday. The president, Tumusang Madiba, is fighting Congo's Anisette Kanyeba. Gareth Bursky faces Brazil's Magno Alves. Baron Nienaber fights Scotland's Danny Henry. Baldwin Umdlalosi versus Angola's Marino Kutundana. And the main event sees lightweight champion Leon Mainhart defend his belt against this man, the pain train from Alaska, fighting out of Vegas. And my guest today, Dave Mazany. Cutting weight, as you can see, lightweight bout. How's the cut going, dude?
The cut is going great. As I was saying, like, the cut goes better every fight. You know, you become more and more of a professional every fight you get. I remember my first lightweight cut was was kind of a catch weight, but first time cutting major weight was EFC 5, and I remember I was miserable for that one. Wow. And this one I feel great. I'm able to do a podcast a couple of days before weigh-in, so it's good.
That was 6 years ago, EFC 5. That was against Wenzel now, wasn't it? Yeah. And if I remember, I was there at that fight, and you won by rear naked choke in the first round. Yeah. But what I found significant about that fight was that you were coming off a 3-fight losing skid. And was it Ryan Ford you had fought against, and you broke your nose and your orbital bone. Yep. And then you flew out here to Johannesburg and you pulled off the win. And it kind of seemed that it was a difficult time in your life, perhaps.
Very difficult.
And that it was like you got the win when you needed the most. So what was it like at that time? Do you remember?
So my streak of losses was a local. I was fighting in Alaska. There's a local guy named Josh the Ghost Henry. I went 3 rounds with him. He was like a rival gym, like crushed me. I was like, oh man, like I'm terrible. You know what I mean? Like the whole town is watching. My first time main event, all the pressure. I took my first loss, and I was like, dang. And then I got called to fight in Canada. My first international fight. My first fight outside of the state. I fought a guy named Claude Patrick, who later on, did really well in the UFC. And then after that, for some reason, they're like, you did good against Claude Patrick. You should fight Ryan Ford. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm a young guy, like thinking I can, and I was fighting welterweight at the time. And actually, I was smaller then than I am now. I have more muscle mass now than I do then. Then I fought Ryan Ford, and then I got, I was training out of Alaska still. Got smashed. I wouldn't say it was a fight. I got smashed, killed.
Well, it was one head kick, wasn't it? There was one left kick. And
he threw a shot. I threw a punch, and then I fell into his head kick. Right. I hit the ground. All I remember is feeling blood and stuff everywhere. I felt my nose on the side of my face, and then I threw an arm bar. And this guy was so big because he cut weight, and I really didn't. He's so big, he just picked me up and slammed me down and threw some shots at me. And I had the instinct to throw arm bars and stuff, which cool. I was proud of that. And and people there, they had respect for me, like, man, you kept fighting, bro. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I saw the video, and that happened. So at that point, I was 3 losses, and I was in Anchorage, Alaska, and people were like, Dave, you need to stop fighting. This is not for you, And I'm just like, no, dude. Like in the back of my head, I'm like, I have the heart of a champion. This is what I do. This is like what I want to be, But everybody was telling me, man, like, no, hang it up. Like, I was with my college degree. I was working as a plumber, a commercial plumber. And like, get your apprenticeship. You can start making money, maybe start going to school to be a teacher. Like, start your career, man. Like, the mom's telling me she doesn't want to see my face smashed. I had like $15,000 in debt.
Medical bills
because like when you're a young guy, you don't have a stable job with insurance, so you have to pay that out of pocket. One of the brown belts at our gym was an eye surgeon, so he hooked me up. And after a hookup, it was still $13,000. So he put a little plate in my orbital for me. Dr. Rosen, who's amazing still. Like I haven't seen him in a long time, but he was awesome. But so all that happened. All this stuff happened. I kept working construction. I paid off all my bills. Got some savings, then I got laid off, so I was collecting unemployment, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to Vegas. Like, this is something that's been in the back of my head since before I even started training. I was like, I'm going to go down to Vegas.
This is before the Wenzel now fight in Johannesburg.
This is before, yeah. So this is my 3-fight losing streak. I heal up, get my money right, get savings. Then all of a sudden, everybody's telling me to stop fighting. I decide to, get back on, and I'm still kind of training. I'm flinching and sparring, like, because I just had my face broken. I can't take a shot. Like, I'm nervous. Like, I can't get hit, and all of a sudden, I go, you know what? Like, this is like something that's been in the back of my head for a long time. I didn't tell people about it. Like, I'm not one of those guys that talks a lot, even though I'm talking a lot all the time. Sure. But like, I talk about stuff that's gonna happen, that I know is gonna happen, or stuff that makes sense. But I'm not gonna be that guy that like is 1-0 going, I'm going to the UFC. When I start saying I'm going to the UFC, you better believe that I'm right at the back door. And so like I kind of stayed quiet about that, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to Las Vegas. I have an aunt and uncle there that can help me get started there, and so I drove down with a poor economy. The economy sucked in Anchorage, or in the United States. Actually, Alaska, the economy was good. Vegas, the economy sucked, because that's like the first thing that goes down is entertainment, right? When the economy goes down. So there's no jobs in Vegas. So I go to Vegas, train at Vanderlei Silva's camp, and after a long training camp, and again, no fights are going on. I couldn't find any fights because, again, the economy sucks. Entertainment is going down. And then EFC calls, hey, you want to fight in 10 days notice? I'm like, yeah, I just took 3 losses. I'm going to fight the champion in South Africa. Like, great idea, Dave. Like, but it was the only option I had.
Sure, the only fight you could get.
Yeah, the only fight. So I took it, and it worked out for the best. But my confidence was low, and I trained really well at Vanderlei Silva's, but I was off of fighting for a while. I had this huge transition period, and that was like the rebirth of a new fighter than I was before.
So the Vince Linnell fight gave you new confidence. You kind of felt it. So it really was a win when you needed it the most. Did you really drive your pickup all the way from Anchorage, down through the Yukon, Alberta, down to Montana, and then all down to Vegas?
Absolutely. I actually went through Seattle because my sister lives in Seattle. My brother lives in California, so I went to California over. But yeah, I drove the whole thing. And then here's the funny thing. Another thing of adversity. I was driving my truck, and I was passing a semi, like a big truck, and the water was wet, and I was like, okay, cool, but there's some black ice. I mean, I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah, no.
It's like frozen, but it looks like water.
Right.
And so I just started spinning out. I wrecked my pickup on the way over, and I had this nice pickup. I paid it was a '98 Ford F-250 because I use it for construction and stuff, and so I got in this wreck, and I was like, dang it, and so but it was still ran, and so we got to my dad's friend's house in Washington, and we pieced it together. We went to a junkyard, found a new bed for it, and we just my dad's a very handy dude. Like, probably if you define manliness and what men do, that's my dad, right? Cool, like, cool. He could tear that wall down, build a new one. He was the construction trade. Awesome. Your motorcycle's broken, let me fix it. My dad in the 70s, and this is why I'm had the cojones to do that.
How gonna do it? Yeah.
In the 70s, he rode his Harley up to Alaska. Back when it was dirt roads, less gas stations, no cell phones, front brake went out on the way, couldn't find parts, so rode half of the Alaska highway through Canada.
But people from the Northwest are kind of like that, aren't they? I mean, it's the kind of. See, I went there when I was young, and I've never been to a place like Anchorage, for example, but I went up to the Northwest states, and it seems to be people there are bred a bit different. I mean, there is a very different vibe. I mean, how would you? I know we're going off the track, but how would you explain a place like Anchorage to someone who's never been there? It kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Yeah,
it's one of those things that the summers are just bright, long, and beautiful. The days are long, and you can do so much stuff. But the winters are the summer season is short. The winter season is long, cold, dark. And I tell people, man, Alaska will make you either tough or it'll make you an alcoholic or a tough alcoholic, brother. So yeah, it's just one of those things that hey, there's ice on my windshield. Oh, I guess I got to go scrape it. People just do stuff, that you just don't normally do. You have to plug in your car to keep the engine block warm so you can start it sometimes, right? Because it's so cold. Your engine won't turn over if you don't have it warm, plugged in. Like I said, it's just gritty. People don't dress up fancy and stuff. You wear a sweatshirt and some pants, and you go out and do your thing. I mean, I don't know. I think the Northwest in general is just a little more gritty.
Are you happy in Vegas? Are you going to be staying there for a long time to come? So you're happy with the training? I mean, Extreme Couture. Why did you move from Wanderlei Silva's gym to Extreme Couture? Was it like Robert Follis? Was it the whole? I know you're doing a stand up at Roy Jones Jr. gym.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the reason for the change?
There's evolutions of gyms, and like what's weird about Vegas is you get caught into there's so much talent, right? Like here's the deal. Like a lot of people in Vegas, there's not very many teams and like gyms and teams. You kind of like do your jiu-jitsu over here and boxing over here because there's like, there's a Robert Drysdale you can go train with, and then Evan Dunham just opened a gym for jiu-jitsu, right? And then which Evan used to train. I used to train with him at Drysdale's, and he actually used to be Extreme Couture too. And then there's like Syndicate, which was a big massive gym with a lot of, and then Randy's gym, which was the first super gym, right? And so people would just bounce around and they'd do strength and conditioning there, which is funny because you have all this, there isn't much team unity there. So at Wanderlei's, like they had good team unity, which is great. But there was a point in my career where I was like, dude, I need to learn how to wrestle. Like these guys, we don't wrestle. We had great jiu-jitsu. Yeah. We had some awesome striking, like that Shudo box system was really great. Got us really tough. We sparred our asses off. If you guys know the legend of Shudo box, we kind of brought it. We were known in Vegas to be like the toughest, hardest hitting guys out there. Like if our amateur teams fought any amateur teams in town, they're like, well, they don't know much technique, but they're going to be tough and in shape, and we would win. We dominated at that time. But like I needed wrestling, I needed better jiu-jitsu because in there I was like subbing everybody, and I don't want to be in a gym that I'm sub.
But you came from Gracie Barra before, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I can ask you at Gracie Barra there for many years before I came. But your jiu wasn't on the level you needed in Vegas to compete.
No, and also it's like, more than pure gi jiu-jitsu, I need MMA jiu-jitsu. I need MMA like grappling. And and like all my partners, I was subbing them and stuff, and they weren't subbing me, which is bad. If I go to a class and nobody's subbing me, I need to be somewhere else, right? And so I started going to Drysdale's, to get that grappling, because they had a good wrestling program, they had a good jiu-jitsu program, and they did a lot of good specific MMA grappling, and he was great with that. But Wanderlei Silva himself came up to me and Pete Martin, the guy who cornered me last time when I fought Sibu Sisu, and he's got a decorated wrestler, and he was actually trying to run wrestling at Wanderlei's, but didn't get much support from everybody. It was weird. He's a great wrestler. Pistol Pete is amazing, and he's got a great kids program that's just dominating. He dominates. But so anyways, Wanderlei goes up to me and Pete goes, no, you must be loyal to our gym. You can't go somewhere else. You have to train here only. And I'm thinking, dude, like it's my ass in the cage, bro. Like if I get punched in the face and I get another plate in my orbital, like you're going to be sitting there crying with me. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's my ass. It's not yours. You know what I mean? And like if you were completely invested in me, I can see that, but you're not invested in me. Like the only coach that was invested in me was the guy Mike Smith, who came at EFC 5 with me. He's my boxing coach, and I've stayed loyal to him because we've helped each other out. I've had him sleep on my couch. He holds pads. You know what I mean? That's like the guy is like, we're solid. So I dabbled with that, but eventually I was like, they got rid of Mike Smith for whatever reason, political reasons and whatever. I don't know what it was. And so, I used that as a catalyst to get out. Like politically, you can't just go up and leave. Like, well, this is my coach, and they respect loyalty. So I'm like, I'm loyal to this guy. I got to go. Yeah. So I left, and
but you're still training with Mike Smith.
Yes, Mike Smith at Roy Jones Jr. And that's basically I hit pads with him. He gets me sharp, it gets my head moving, and I like the way he works, and he knows the game really, really well.
And the kind of team ethic at Extreme Couture. So you got Benicio, you got Brian Caraway, but what's it like with Rob Follis? I mean, what kind of coach is he?
Follis is great. One thing he did, he was able to be the spark that ignited some team. Actually, that team that Vegas was craving and lacked. Follis is one of those guys psychologically, he's really good. I've seen him work with athletes that have like massive head problems, which we all know it's mental. Yeah. He's good at communicating ideas to people, and his technique is out of control. You can tell he's always evolving and always ahead of the game. Yeah. So the thing is about and he emphasized why we got to stay here because we have a system of fighting. There's, you can learn this move A, you can learn move A, B, and C. But if they don't tie together, or if you aren't reviewing them and doing them, like I can learn the coolest Kimura ever. Yeah. But if I never see it again, it's going to go away. But the things we do is we have our system, we have the way we fight, and it's and of course every individual adapts to it differently.
Sure.
And all the time he'll show you can get up from here, strike from here, take him down from here. You have a good angle to throw a shot. He knows that every technique can be used differently for somebody, and that's why I see with Drysdale was the same way. Robert was the same, or Robert, Drysdale and Follis. They both. The one thing I noticed about those two, and I'm giving them both props, is it's funny. I've had a lot of jiu-jitsu and grappling coaches you grab the elbow right here and then you turn this way and do that and be like, hey dude, my arms are really short. I don't know if I can do this. Yeah. But those guys know how to adapt things, and they say, well, you feel it out like this and you might do this and that. Yeah. They explain it in a way that you'll find your own spot. Yeah. One of the ways Follis explained something which was brilliant. We were learning, I don't know, some way to hold a position or whatever, and it requires a little bit of balance. And somebody's like, well, how do you do this? He goes, well, you just do it. He's like, what do you mean? You do it and you adapt. And he's saying, I don't get it. Well, when you rode a bicycle, did somebody say, hey, if you follow the left, you lean to the right slightly, you turn the wheel? No, you just got on the bike. You say, hey, you put your hands on the bars, you pedal, and you go. So a lot of stuff we learn through repetition. You learn the basics about the move, but every move is unique to that individual, right? You have your own piece of it, and that's what makes mixed martial arts an actual art. Yeah. It's not A, B, and C. It's you have these guidelines and you go with it, and it becomes yours and uniquely yours and nobody else's.
Yeah, I saw footage of him drilling you guys, and it goes back to what you say: is to don't fear the guy who can do 1,000 moves one time.
Yep.
Fear the guy who can do one move 1,000 times.
Right.
And I saw him drilling. I could see that at the gym. Who's cornering you on Friday? Have they flown out?
So corner. So I got another fantastic corner. I mean, Mike was a fantastic corner. He was with me, and then Pete was great because we trained together forever. He's still at Vandelay's and Drysdale's, but we're still good buddies. We don't have that gym rivalry in Vegas. It's kind of we're all buddies.
Cool.
Except maybe the amateurs because they fight, but the local pros don't fight each other in Vegas because we all fly everywhere else to fight. But I got Dennis Davis, Dennis Davis has been with Randy, in Oregon, and he was at Extreme Couture since the beginning. He was there as a fighter, and eventually when he retired, he's like, hey, I want to come help the amateur team. And then he took over that whole amateur team 100%, and he's got them a positive winning record when they were just losing all kinds. When I was at Vandelay's, they were losing. You know what I mean? Yeah. We were crushing Extreme Couture, and now Dennis took over, and they're beating everybody. We have belts all over the place. And so, and he also, obviously works with the pros too, and technically he's the head coach over there. He's a really solid individual. So he's one of those guys, and he knows our system. He's seen me spar, and he's we've actually. And here's the thing, man. Rarely in my fight camp do I get the opportunity to have somebody watch me spar and give me adjustments after rounds and actually coach me because. Yeah. Dude,
you've flown all over the place.
Yeah, you're not making money off of me. If I give you 10% of my purse, that ain't anything. So, in order to compensate a coach to actually coach me, it doesn't happen. But Dennis put some time and invested in me. You know what I mean? Just out of the kindness of his heart, because he put more time in than I'm going to be able to pay him, awesome. Which is great. And I'll do anything I can to help him out. But we were actually coaching and creating a quote unquote game plan, which is one of the things I hate, game plan,
Well, I'm not going to ask you about the game plan. But apart from Dennis, who else? Have it come out with anyone else from Vegas? Is it just you and Dennis?
Just me and Dennis. Okay. They only had a budget to fly one person out. I'd probably, if I could, I'd probably fly my sister out.
Okay, cool. She's also a fighter.
Yes.
Ginger, right?
Gina Danger Mazany.
And she's the AFC champ now. Congratulations.
Yeah, Alaska Fighting Championships, where we both started. Yeah.
Wow. Cool. Yeah. Any chance of her ever coming out to South Africa?
I would like to. She's a bantamweight though.
Right.
The girls are too light here. I was talking to the EFC trying to, hey man, get a super fight with my sister or something. Put her out here. I'll corner her. We'll do some double promotion or something. I don't know. I'd love to see her come out here and fight. She's a very spunky personality. She's very talented. I think the fans would love Gina. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully they bring her out, brother-sister combination. I don't think we could fight on the same card. That would be too stressful.
You talked quite a bit in the past about how many people don't realize the sacrifices you make as fighters and how much you earn. But now you're on I think you have a 5-fight contract with the AFC. I mean, did the contract change things for you, having a bit of stability as a professional fighter?
It was really nice to have an idea when my next fight was going to be. Generally, after I finish a fight, people are like, when's the next one? I don't know. I got to find something. So I'm hitting up promotions, trying to call around, figure out, fights just don't show up on your doorstep. You have to hustle. Like, I hustled to get this EFC contract. Believe it or not, I had to hustle. They didn't go, hey, Dave, we're international now. Let's give you a call. Like, I hit these guys up all the time since that 5-year span, because I just do my rounds. I say, hey, who's got to fight for me? But yeah, I don't know. This is a big hustle to find fights.
Does it add extra pressure then, coming from such a well-known camp and being the American, being from Vegas, being the fighter from everyone attaches Randy's name to anyone who comes out of that gym. Right. You've got successful UFC fighters currently coming there. And I'm sorry about Misha's loss at the weekend. She's a stunning fighter. Did you feel a weight of expectation of bringing a different belt from a different territory back to Vegas?
Right. It's crazy because I hold myself to a high standard. And I think I've always felt a lot of pressure. But I do agree there is added pressure, especially the more interviews I do and the more I talk, and people ask me opinion on things and what I think, and and of course we all don't speak exactly what's in our brain, because some crazy stuff will come out, right? But putting it out there, being like, all right, now I gotta back all this stuff up. I think all the media and stuff like that is what makes it more difficult. And I guess the expectation, because on paper, if you were to put both of us on paper, look at the people I've fought and look at the people he's fought, and whatever, I should win this fight. And so not executing would just be merely me not executing game plan.
Well, it's a tough fighter, Leon. I mean, it's a great fighter. He's been a great champion, but it's a really good matchup, for both of you. But you said the cuts gone well. You're pretty happy. You're gonna make 155.
Oh yeah, always do.
Yeah.
I never miss weight.
Ever?
No.
Oh, cool.
Who misses weight? Come on.
It has happened.
I know, it's lame.
There's a lot of other stuff you do back in the States, which I think is some really cool stuff. I mean, I know you do a lot of substitute teaching, but it's like being a personal trainer. It's that never give up behavioral health stuff, which I find really awesome. There's some of your charity work and stuff. I mean, you mix it up quite a lot. In the pro wrestling stuff you do you have to try and one thing that always irritated me is that the two sports are very similar, but you get a lot of people saying, "Oh, but you're a cage fighter, or you're an MMA fighter, you're an MMA athlete. Is it real or is it staged?" And you always have to differentiate the difference between pro wrestling and MMA when you know there's such a stark difference, and you end up getting it's better now because there's been a bit of education about the sport.
Dead.
Yeah, kayfabe is well gone, but you're not the heel anymore. But do you still get that? Do you still get tired of having to educate people about the difference between MMA and pro wrestling, particularly in the States where there's such a symbiotic relationship?
Right. It's something I'm passionate about both, so I don't mind educating people on it. Cool. My job as an individual, like I said, I work with kids with behavior health. I substitute teach sometimes. I train people. I referee for NAGA, North American Grappling Association, around the United States. All those things are essentially educating people. I'm a giver. I'm a person who gives. I can't take. Which is a very good quality and a bad quality at the same time. I'd probably have a lot more money if I had more of a malicious attitude. But back to pro wrestling. But back to that, educating people on that, it's just kind of fun. I have my own things that I kind of have a knee-jerk reaction when people are like, well, isn't wrestling fake? I was like, well, aren't movies fake, bro? Exactly. The Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't a robot, trying to kill people in real life. He's actually a bodybuilder. You know what I mean? Sure. But you have fun watching a movie, so enjoy yourself at a pro wrestling event, and that's kind of what. So every time I'd start dating a girl, I'd be like, hey, you should come pro wrestling with me. And if she's crappy at it, like, oh, this is fake. She's making fun of it. She can't like sit back and have a good time. Like, all right, you're done. You know, like you don't even have to like. You could, as long as you respect it and like you can open your mind to something. Cool. You know
Dave Mazany's rules of dating. She's not into pro wrestling. Get rid of
Hey,
it. Okay, that's pretty harsh. When you perform, do you find that you have to take it a bit easy because you know your MMA career is a bit more important to you at the moment? I mean, do you have to, in terms of the moves? You're not doing high flying moves and stuff like that. Do you pull back quite a bit?
Oh yeah, you know, it's kind of funny because I mean, and the guys there, they respect me and they appreciate me, and actually I give them decent feedback because they're like, hey, what is this? The real fighting is called shoot fighting for them. So like, hey, what's the shoot version of this, or if you're gonna shoot this, how would it go? So you know, they respect me in a sense. So. And a lot of the guys there to take care of me. One of my buddies, Jack Manley, who I went to school with in high school in Alaska, he's like a big indie wrestler down in the States and doing, you know, really well. If he had the size, if he was 6'4", he'd be in the WWE guaranteed. This guy is technically amazing. He's got great character development. He's just spot on. It's funny because I'll go into matches, especially with guys who haven't worked with me, because like a lot of these matches, people think you choreograph and rehearse them. You go to the event, you go, who am I working today? Oh, we'll figure it out. And you're working him and him. Okay, cool. And then you sit there and talk about your match. I haven't laid hands on these guys before. Yeah. Then you work your match. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. But they'll be like, yeah, man, maybe come off the top rope and I'll do a flip-de-doo. And I'm like, nope. No. Sorry, bro. Nope. No, you know, I got to protect my MMA career, and that's why I got the Iron Claw too. That's my finisher, right? I grab their head.
So it is your finishing move.
Yeah, absolutely.
I saw someone tweet like 2 days ago saying, "Would you? Are we going to see the claw on Friday at the EFC?" And you were like,
"It's too dangerous."
And you were very specific about it, weren't you? It's like it's dangerous and illegal. I mean, come on. And in that tweet, that was the difference for me between pro wrestling and MMA.
Yeah,
but it's a great move. Where the hell did you get that come from? It's an old one.
Yeah, the Von Erichs made it really popular, and Baron von Raschke. You know, I mean, he was like the heel version, but the Von Erichs were like faces with the Iron Claw. But my brother and I, when we were younger, we'd always do the Baron von Raschke. You know what I mean? It was just like and it was like you could see it. When my sister graduated, I have this photo of my sister graduated. We're doing the claw, awesome. You know, and so. And actually, the first time I brought the Iron Claw to MMA, I never did it when I was wrestling when I was younger, you know. But when I brought the Iron Claw out as a branded thing, is like when I beat Wenzel Nil. That was the first time. There's that picture on my fan page on my Facebook of me doing the Iron Claw. That's after I beat Wenzel Nil, and I found a roaming cam. I did the claw, and that was the most amazing picture like that I have the Iron Claw. Right. And I was like, that's it right there, you know. And I don't know why, like, because after my fights, I've always had the idea that I gotta be something different. I always have to do, like, one time I fought and I did the flare strut after I got to win, you know what I mean? And I would yell on the mic afterwards, you know. So, you know, I always knew I had to have something, and the Iron Claw just stuck. And so, like, going back to pro wrestling, my finisher's the Iron Claw. Right. So it's like, hey, bro, I got this finisher. I'm supposed to go over tonight. Do you mind taking the Iron Claw? Yeah. Everybody's so pumped to take the Iron Claw because, you know, it's like, hey, my finisher is where I lift you above my hand and throw you on your head. You want to take that? No, bro. Hey, I'm going to grab your head and you're going to die. And they're like, yeah. And then they can oversell it and go crazy, you know? Yeah, like, people are so pumped to take the claw. And in turn, like, you know, because of my athletic stature, like, I can get over by, you know, throwing good strikes and maybe a suplex or something like that because I know how to turn my hips and my shots look good. Yeah. You know, I have a decent European uppercut, you know. Okay. I'll throw, you know, some kicks that look legit, tie clinch, you know. Forearms, my forearms look good because I can throw my hip into it, you know what I mean? So it looks good, and people, I don't see it because I'm like, I'm having fun, I'm playing, but be like, bro, you look like a killer in there, man. I'm like, no, man, I'm having fun.
Cool.
You know?
So I saw you at the media day last weekend, and it was you're in Johannesburg, Carnival City on the East Rand, and there's all these young fans coming up to you, sign autographs, doing the claw with you in pictures and stuff. I mean, so you know, you premiered the claw in South Africa 6 years ago, as you say, and here you are. Long way from home, fighting the hometown favourite, and you've still got all these South African fans coming up to you and giving that love. I mean, surely you kind of feel that there's if you do become the champion of a South African organization, that you'll be a great champ for the people here.
Yeah.
I mean, how does it feel to be welcomed so like that?
It's unbelievable because I have this preconceived notion that like I'm gonna be the bad guy. You know what I mean? Because I'm from the United States, and I don't know what people. I guess some people like don't like the United States. Some people do. I don't know what the perception is around the country,
Right.
but around the world. But I know. Anytime in sports or somebody from a different country, like they're a bad person, they're not a human, like, oh, this guy's stupid, And so, for me to win over a few fans, it's awesome because, like, honestly, like as I said, media day, without the fans, the fighter is nothing. Like we'd just be guys who are fighting, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I was a guy who grew up not fighting. I never fought people. I was a very peaceful dude. But when I would compete, when I was playing ice hockey, right, I would want to smash people. You know what I mean? I was like a violent, gritty, guy. And even when I would run, I was a distance runner going into college, which is a funny fact, right? Just as a collegiate distance runner, and then I converted to the decathlon later on. But like when I'd run, I'd just run myself till it hurt. You know what I mean? Just like it was like a violent approach. Like I just, I competed hard. So fighting always appealed to me because it was like the toughest, most insane thing you could do to compete is to fight another human in front of people. Most pressure, like what's the biggest thing I could possibly do? I could fight somebody. So it's not because I like fighting people, because fighting people and fighting professionally is way different. Yeah. There's so much accountability to cage fighting, right? Sure. So like if I go to a bar and I knock somebody out, like you make that split decision to make a fight, you knock somebody out, maybe one person saw you, win or lose, only one person saw you, you know what I mean? I have so much accountability. There's thousands people on the internet here in town, whatever, watching you. It's built up for weeks and weeks and weeks. You're thinking about it. You don't have time to make a split decision. If you lose or whatever, people are gonna see it and like be like, man, like he did this. Like, no, you kind of just act like a wuss. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like they would see like if because guys will be like, yeah, man, so he hit me in the back of the head or something, and like if it was like out in front of a bar, but the guy's not tough. Yeah. The dude that fights in the bar, the dude that fights on the street all the time is not tough. I'll tell you that right now, and I'll tell you why. Like if there's, and this came from Henzo Gracie, like from one of my coaches coming up. I think it was Henzo. It was one of the Gracies. But basically, if like a little 3-year-old comes to you, he's like, I'm gonna beat you up. Yeah. Are you gonna be like, oh yeah, kid? Jack him in his face? No, you're not gonna hit this kid. You'd be like, that's cool. Yeah. If I truly am secure with my manhood and who I am and what I am, I'm gonna diffuse a fight. Yeah. Why would I fight somebody? If this person doesn't matter and I truly believe I'm a bigger man than them, I don't need to fight them, right? So I fight purely for competition. Now, do I like not? Do I not want to like hurt somebody? Like, of course, when I'm in fighting, I'll hurt them. You know what I mean? It's I have that switch. That's why I told people like right now you're talking to Dave Mazany. When I come into the cage, it's the pain train. Yeah. After that fight's over, Dave Mazany slowly starts coming back. You know what I mean? Like you could tell this interview is different than the one after the fight, after I knock somebody out, where I'm yelling into the mic, calling for belts and stuff. It's a different person. It's just like it's a switch. I try to, like when I do pro wrestling, I try to bring out the pain train. Right. You know what I mean? Even though it's like it's artificial, like it's pure in the cage. That's a pure pain train. That's pure. Right. Adrenaline's pumping. I'm fighting another human. I'm trying to bring it out somehow in pro wrestling.
Cool. Would you say this is the most important fight in your career today, or is it just it's up there?
I told somebody that every fight in my career is important. It's crazy because like if you get a lose streak, like you're not valuable. Yeah. If you take one loss, you're not valuable. You got to like get 3-4 more wins before you become valuable again. So I've taken losses. Like I fought for a title in Australia off of like a month's notice against a middleweight. I won a middleweight title, and I defended a middleweight title. And I'm looking at guys like up here and knocking them out. Middleweight title in Australia, and the guy who I won that title with, he went to the UFC later on. Cool. And then I fought 3 guys that went to the UFC. Like
tough competition.
Yeah, at middleweight, 2 of them at middleweight. Wow. I have Steve Kennedy and then Vic Gut. I can't say his name. He was on the Ultimate Fighter. Australia versus Canada. I flew to Darwin. I stayed in Australia. Stayed in Australia.
Darwin.
Darwin, Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, I fought in Perth. I actually defended my belt at that point, and then Grady, the promoter up in Australia, was like, "Hey, you want to fight in Darwin?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's fight in Darwin. Like, why not?" Stayed for a month. I taught classes at Soa from. He's a big Polynesian guy, out of Australia. He just retired. Just wrote a book.
Okay.
I can't say his name, Palele or something like that.
So Palele.
Yeah.
He fought around parts. One of our heavyweights.
Yeah. Yep. Soa. So I taught classes at his gym, and like at one point, he's like, "You want to roll, bro?" I'm like, "This is stupid." Like, I can't even move this guy.
Dude.
Yeah. And so and I sparred with him. Okay, I'm sparring with Soa. He's giant. He has to cut to get to 265.
Yeah.
And then. I guess before that, I fought Shane Campbell, who was like the decorated kickboxer who I can, I was like, well, I beat Shane Campbell. I could beat Leon. You know what I mean? Like, because he's probably one of the best strikers I've ever seen. You know what I mean? That dude carved me up. Like he had elbows and knee. I remember one point I had over-unders with this guy. My head was on his shoulder because you need to pummel. You're not supposed to put your head over the shoulder. That's what I always tell you. Don't drop your head down. Keep your head like ear next to his ear. Shane Campbell throws his knee, hits me in the forehead, splits me open. And I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to be able to hit me. That's the rule, bro. Like, but he's,
Is that the fight you broke your jaw?
No, that was Ryan Dixon. That was my second title fight
in
that
Australia.
I did. That one was in Calgary, Alberta. So I was lined up for a title fight again. He was a good jiu-jitsu guy, good ground guy, really good ground guy. That was kind of his deal. And he kind of had like slow head movement and bop, bop, bop. And so I outboxed him really well. I dropped him with a shot, took him down. I was pounding him. I split him open, and I was just pounding away at this guy. And he came out of the first round just kind of wobbly. And I go, oh yeah, dude.
You got him.
I saw the green light, I was like, yeah. I came in, went after him, and I zigged when I should have zagged, caught a shot, and he just caught me perfect on the button. It just happens. And he followed. I mean, credit to him. He caught me and followed up well. I woke up standing against the cage. And, I was standing, but like I lost time, and I said, I saw the referee. I was like, oh man, that means I lost, bro. And it was funny because I broke my jaw, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was jammed because sometimes your jaw gets jammed up. So I go, dang, my jaw really hurts, and like, whatever. And so I go home, and it's like, man, my jaw doesn't feel good. But I was supposed to referee for Naga in Hawaii, and I was like, and of course I don't have medical. I don't want to pay the medical. I was like, well, my jaw will undo, and I'm about to go do this tournament in Hawaii, and I was like, I think my jaw is broken. Like, it hasn't healed, and it's gotten worse. But I gotta make some money. I gotta make $500. You know what I mean? So
you flew to Hawaii.
So I had to fly to Hawaii, work a tournament.
You had surgery when you got back. You were still.
Yeah. So I did this tournament, and all I could eat was soup. And I was eating like spam musubi, which is delicious. It's spam on top of rice, like wrapped as a roll. Right. It's a Hawaiian treat.
I trust you on that.
Spam is like canned meat for all you guys.
Yeah, I know what spam is. Yeah.
Yeah. So they sell the most spam per capita in Hawaii. Second is Alaska. So I love spam, dude.
No man.
Guilty pleasure. Sorry. And so all I was eating is spam because I couldn't move my jaw, and I was like at the tournament I was like drinking soup. My buddy had some Vicodin, and I was like hopped up on Vicodin and ibuprofen. And we're like 2 points takedown, yoo-hoo,
with a
broken jaw, dude. And so I went to the hospital when I got back, and I was like, the doctor was looking at me, and he was like looking at it, and he's like, yeah, we'll give you an X-ray. And I was like, I think it's broken, doc. And he's like, well, if I was doing this, you'd be like screaming like crazy, and I'm like, I don't know, I have a good pain threshold, but okay. And it came back broken. I was like, what's up, doc?
I told you.
It was broken.
Yeah. And how long was it wired shut for?
6 weeks. It's one of those situations where your life just sucks because, like, I train people, I teach people, I can't talk. I literally couldn't talk. Yeah. And then, and I needed to find more clients and hustle more work, and I couldn't find clients because I can't talk, dude. Like, I wasn't valuable to work anywhere, and I didn't have a job. Like, I never have a job. You know what I mean? It's a hustle. It's a hustle. Vegas, if you aren't hustling somebody's hustling you. You got to hustle. And so there I am. Like, I'm a week into my jaw surgery. I really can't talk, but I'm riding my motorcycle, man. I'm like, dude, you know what? Like, I have this motorcycle. My dad gave it to me because he bought a new one.
It's a cool cycle. I've seen it.
He's well enough to not have to sell his bike to buy a new one, so he'd rather give it to his family. You know what I mean? Like, a man doesn't like to get rid of their motorcycle if they don't have to. You know what I mean? It's like one of those man things.
You bequeath it to you.
Yeah. So it was like the most cool thing I've ever gotten from anybody, right? This motorcycle, and he loves to see me ride it. Like, if I post something, he's like, "Good job, son." You know? And so I was on a bike and I was like, my jaw's wired shut, and I'm like riding. I'm like, you know what? At least I got my bike, bro. This is great. I'm sitting at a stoplight. Next thing you know, I'm rear-ended by a Corvette. Boom. Bike's on the ground. I can't talk to this dude. I can't say, "Hey, bleep." I guess we weren't supposed to cuss. "Hey, mofo." You know, I just kind of like, it was crazy. I think because I just got done with a fight, or I'm a fighter. I got rear-ended, didn't see it. My adrenaline didn't even spike. Maybe. I just kind of went up to him. I was like, "Bro," wrote some stuff down.
So it really,
you know what I mean? Changed. Yeah. So that jaw period when I broke my jaw, I had that title fight. Like, I was supposed to get that title fight, get a win streak after that. That was my plan. Go to the UFC. You know what I mean? And nope, that got lost. Oh, I got my jaw broken. Oh, I can't work. Oh, my bike's broken.
Yeah.
You know, another bit of like, why am I doing this?
But like you said, if it's something that you want so bad, it is going to happen. I mean, you're still in your early 30s. You still got a long time left in the game. And you said you have that positive mental attitude. That's still a path that'd be true for you.
Here's how MMA works. If you've been in gyms, if you've been around the sport for a while, you see a lot of just amazing talent. Amazing talent. I've had amateurs just wreck me in the gym grappling. You know what I mean? Like, I remember at Extreme Couture, I remember just doing wall rounds with these. You know, they might not be complete fighters yet, but like maybe we're doing like just wrestling rounds or something. And this guy is just wrecking me, and I'm like, dude, this guy's gonna be something. You know, his work on his striking, he's the perfect package. And then something happens, and he falls off. You know what I mean? You see this happen all the time. Or maybe they take one bad loss, can't handle it. They want to go get a stable job, and they want to go have a real life, you know, which is cool. Yeah. But for some reason, I can't do it.
No,
crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah. But I think the guys who make it in MMA, they need talent, but they also need persistence and just a grit, and just like, you just can't stop. You know, there's so many times in my life where things, and I've described a couple of them already, and those are a few major events, but there's also small ones, you know, like points like maybe where a relationship doesn't work because, you know, you're following this crazy dream, or you just don't even want to date because you can't afford to take somebody out to dinner. You know what I mean? Like, you have this, no, I can't go have a drink with you. I'm not drinking. You know what I mean? I'm not fun, but I'm fun after a fight for a couple of weeks, and then I'm not fun again. Yeah. You know, I'm disciplined and straight edge, and then I'm a maniac. You know what I mean? I have this up and down lifestyle, and it takes a special person to be with you. But the person who can like just go through stuff and just be that gritty, strong, like, that gritty, strong person that can overcome adversity is the guy who will make it in the end. And you know, who knows what is making it really? I mean, is it making a giant paycheck? And like, for me, part of making it is talking to a fan or talking to somebody that was inspired by me. You know what I mean? Like, after a fight, when people like, I just talked to a fan yesterday. He gave me a Nelson Mandela shirt.
I saw that on social media.
Yeah.
Cool.
And cool. He just like, dude, I got a gift for you, you know, like, if you want to drop it off. And I was like, okay, cool. And, you know, he was like, you know, I showed my dad like your stuff, and he like wanted to see you fight. He was so pumped up. So
he's coming on Friday to watch.
Yeah, like this guy got sold on me just by seeing some of my clips. That is worth more than money. That is worth way more than money.
So Dave, thanks for talking to us. So fighters the fans can come out and support you this Friday, EFC 51, Carnival City, Johannesburg. The undercard starts at 4:15, the main card at 8. Dave Mazany is fighting for the lightweight title fight against Leon Maynard. And when you go back to States, how can fans get hold of you? What are your social media accounts?
So I like to communicate with my fans, and that's where I advertise a lot of my sponsors and anybody who helps me out. And you can see what I'm doing day to day. So it's at Mazany MMA, at Mazany MMA. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Instagram. I have a fan page for Facebook. Unfortunately, I can't add everybody to my regular Facebook page, but find Dave the Pain Train Mazany on Facebook. It's the one with the iron claw on me sitting there. It's from the Winslow Nil fight. But yeah, please follow me. I do my best to interact with all my fans, and I appreciate all the support and likes and follows and shares. I appreciate it. So at Mazany MMA, please follow me.
Dave, good luck on Friday. All the best, and thanks for coming. I really appreciate it, Brett.
Thanks,
man. With Clinch, chatting all things MMA.